Hello everyone, welcome to HIM 130. In Chapter 12, one of the activities that we are looking at is the CC-MCC capture rate per DRG family. And in the assignment, there is an Excel spreadsheet that you open. This is the spreadsheet. And you'll notice that we have 5 DRG families represented on this spreadsheet. Intracranial hemorrhage with an MCC, with a CC, and without a CC or an MCC. And that is the case for all of these except severe sepsis or septicemia. Now we have 3 hospitals with data represented on the spreadsheet, and then we also have state data. So this type of data is typically provided in a PEPR report that's discussed in your textbook. I attached a link to a handbook for the PEPR report. You can also go to cms.gov and find all kinds of information about the PEPR reports. They are used extensively for comparative data. And what they allow facilities to do is compare themselves to other facilities that are similar to them. Maybe rural hospitals compare to rural hospitals, urban hospitals compare to urban hospitals. They can also compare based on about the average number of discharges that they have and the services they provide. So a facility can look at their data, look at someone else's data, and just compare. Do we have significantly more cases than another facility does? Within these families, are we significantly different from other facilities in the percentage of MCCs or CCs that we treat? And then facilities can make some decisions based on that data. If I look at my data and I have a similar hospital and 20% of their patients have an MCC in a particular DRG family, and I have 45%, I may wonder if I have a coding issue. And I may want to do a focused chart review to validate that. Likewise, if in fact I look at that data and 60% of my patients do not have a CC or an MCC, and other facilities are at 35%, again, I may wonder why my data is different, and I'll need to take measures to go in and evaluate that data. These PEPR reports have been around for decades. When I worked in acute care, I had to work with PEPR reports quarterly and report back to I worked for a corporate-owned company, and I would have to report back to the corporate HIM folks with my evaluation of our PEPR data. And it was comprehensive. I didn't just sit down and look at charts. I actually went and talked to other departments, shared my information with the clinical departments to get their input on why they thought some of our data might be a little different. And one of the most interesting things was our patients that came in respiratory failure. And one of the things that impacted that is that we were in a major metropolitan area that had 13 refineries within 3 miles of our facility. So we knew that we were in a population that had a lot of air pollution. So that's the kind of data that I would pull in to justify that. So let's talk about how you're going to do this. So on this Excel spreadsheet, we have separated each of these DRG families. And we're going to be calculating figures for our capture rate. And in the assignment, it actually tells you that this formula is on page 189 in your textbook. It's figure 12.6. So to calculate the capture rate for a particular DRG, we have to know how many cases we're in that DRG, we have to divide that by the total number of cases in the family and multiply it by 100 to come up with our percentage. So this is a formula that we can translate into Excel. And so if we look at C26, and then let's look up here at what the formula is. So what we actually will be doing is taking B26, which is the number of cases for this DRG with an MCC, and we are dividing it by the total number of cases in this family. And the total number of cases is represented by adding 111, 139, and 41. So I can create a formula that says, take the number in B26 and divide it by the sum of these three cells. And that's what we did in that formula. So we could easily translate that to other formulas. So if we wanted to, if you need to build the formula for this. And for this, you would actually be saying, take B27 and divide it by the sum of B26, B27, and B28. And use this format to do that. And you would say, I can type this in the cell. So in this cell, I'm going to hit the plus key. And then I'm going to move my cursor over and just click in B27, and it populates it for me. Then I'm going to use the backslash to tell Excel to divide. And then I want to add 111, 139, and 41, which is B26, B27, and B28. So I will create a parenthesis, and then I will take my cursor and I'll move it to B26, click, and then I'll hit plus, put it in B27, click, hit plus, put it in B28, and then I will close my parenthesis. So shift in the number and 0, close parenthesis, and then I'll hit enter. And when I do that, it calculates that percentage for me. Let's do it one more time. So I'm going to say I have to hit plus to start my formula, and then I'm going to click in B28. And then I want to divide that number by the sum of, so I have to have an open parenthesis, and then I will click in B26, hit plus, put my cursor over B27, hit enter, hit plus, put my cursor over B28, hit enter, and then I need to close my parenthesis. And then just hit enter, and it will calculate that for me. Now, the other calculation, the other formula you're going to use is for the CC-MCC capture rate. So when we look at this DRG family, we have 064 and 065 that are impacted by a CC and an MCC. So to determine the CC-MCC capture rate, we need to add these together. So altogether, if I wanted to know number of cases, then I could add 111 and 139, but I want the percentage capture rate. So you'll notice I've clicked in this cell, and when we look up here at the formula, basically we're just adding together 38% and 48%. Now, this is taken all the way out to 4 digits. These two were just taken out to 2 digits. So they were rounded. This one is not rounded. That's why you see, well, 38 and 48, are 86. Well, this actually captured the data to 2 decimal points. I also put the formula in the rate in the calculation figure for University Hospital. And so you will need to continue to complete this Excel spreadsheet for each of these DRG families for each of these hospitals. Okay? Now, once you complete that, and save often, don't lose your data. Once you finish the calculation for one hospital, go ahead and go up here and click save and save your data. Don't lose it. Of course, I know we ought probably have auto backup, but I remember when there was no such thing as auto backup, so I just save it. So you're going to do that for each of these DRG families. Now, the next thing I want you to do is answer some questions about this data. And the questions are in the assignment. I want you to rank these hospitals in terms of their CC-MCC capture rates. Which hospital has the highest capture rate, which one is at the mid, and which one has the lowest? And that's the overall capture rate. So you're going to want to average the capture rates for each of the DRG families by facility and then compare that data. So how would we do that? It is not an item on this Excel spreadsheet, but you can see that we have capture rate for each facility. There is a capture rate for each of these families. And literally, I can come randomly anywhere in this Excel spreadsheet and create a formula that can capture that for me. Or you may want to come down to the bottom of this spreadsheet and you may want to type in average. And then you can literally come over here and create an average item. All of Memorial Hospital's capture rates are listed here. They're in this column. So I can come up to the sum key, click on the sum key, and click on average. And then literally I can gently scroll up and I can click in D, hit plus, again hit plus for that family, 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 and then hit enter. And it doesn't like it. And now if I come up here and look, I think it doesn't like it because I have a plus sign after D54, so I'm going to have to delete that. And then I can just hit enter. And it still doesn't like it. Why doesn't it like it? Okay, I apologize for that. I had to play around with this to figure it out. I thought possibly these columns were not averaging because they were blank, so I randomly added numbers, but that was not the case either. I could not get it to average percentages for me. So what I ended up doing is building a formula similar to the one that we're using within the DRG families, so that I simply added each of the rows in D together and then divided it by 5, which is the number of DRG families you're working with. So I got the sum total of the percentages and then divided it by 5, the number of DRG families. So the average based on my pretend numbers for Memorial Hospital would be 85%. And of course, you could easily do that for each of the hospitals. Is just average, add up the capture rate, divide it by 5, that'll give you your average, and then you can tell for each one of these hospitals what their capture rate is for all 5 of these DRGs. So the spreadsheet I'm working with is the spreadsheet that you have in the assignment, but it's not filled in the way that I've filled it in here. If you have any questions about how to do this, don't hesitate to call me. I'll be glad to help you with the formulas. You can have your Excel spreadsheet open, I can have mine open, and we can walk through it. It's consistent, it's the same formulas modified to represent the cell that the data's in, and you're just doing that over and over. So again, if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to give me a call, or if you have any questions about the questions that you need to answer as part of this assignment, give me a call. And that will conclude this lecture.